Okay, we'll go on.
Oh, yeah. This was a project that I organized 5 years ago at the ICA in London. It was called Surprise, Surprise. And I worked at the ICA as a director of and I kind of put his request and the title of the show together to come up with this exhibition. And what I did here is that I asked very, very famous artists to display a piece in the exhibition that would be completely different from what they're actually famous for. So you would think about someone like Luc Tuymans, for example, very famous Belgian artist, to give us a piece, and instead of a painting, he would give you some strange little rubber objects. So all of those works in the exhibition were completely different from what the audience would expect to see when they would actually read the list of artists in the on the invitation card. And you can, just go through like the who is who of contemporary art, and they were probably presented there in the show, whether that was like Richard Prince or Jeff Koons or Bruce Nauman, like all very well-known people. And I was kind of like also really interested in this idea of like what do we expect from an exhibition, and how is an exhibition promoted, and what do these artist names mean when you get a little invitation card in the mail that especially in the case of well-known artists, produces immediately some ideas and some expectations. So it was really that you would come into the gallery and see works by those artists that you would have never made the connection with. And I spoke, of course, a lot to the artists about this idea. And one of the things that I thought was really interesting was that they said, oh, this is such a great idea, because I have these pieces that nobody wants to show. They always only want to show this one particular type of work, which I'm famous for or well known for, and that's it. Whether they, there was the gallery that didn't want to show these works, or other curators who didn't want to show the work, like Damien Hirst, for example. He's famous for these big installations where he has like these animal parts in formaldehyde, or these butterfly pieces, or these paintings with the spirals. And in our case, he gave us a collage made out of newspaper clippings, which was completely different from what he is known for. To make it all even a bit more complicated, we didn't put any labels next to the artworks. So you would kind of come in there with the knowledge of the names of the artists that are in the show, but you would not be able to actually tell who made what. And only when you left the ICA, you were given a little booklet with images of each piece and text about each of the works, and then kind of diagram that put out, what is where. So, you could go back into the gallery and sort of like compare the pieces with the little booklet and the images, or you could, just start reading and go back into your thoughts and the experience of seeing the show. And the reason why I did this was really that I wanted the audience to look really, really carefully at the works, to try to figure out who made what. And of course, I'm not necessarily representative for a regular museum visitor, since this is my profession, and I spend like probably 18 hours a day with this kind of stuff. So for me, it might have been a bit easier to identify certain pieces, but I felt like that in each work there was something that would give you a clue of who this artist might be if you know the artist a little bit. And it was quite widespread. So I think that no matter what your background was, if you are a person who is interested in contemporary art, there would have been something that you could probably figure out by yourself. This was a piece that you actually saw when you came in. This was a piece by Barbara Kruger that sort of like was kind of very much like my attitude in regards to this show, that that there's always some authority that says, okay, this is the way things have to be, and there's no discussion about it, and basta. And of course this show and representative for a lot of other things that I've been doing over the years is kind of really about challenging those authorities and those sort of things that are seemingly set in stone.
Yeah.
Well, that's a funny story here about the pig. This was done by Jake and Dinos Chapman, two brothers from London who got really well known in the late 90s. They were part of the young British artist scene, and they said to me, this is a piece that they collaboratively made when they were like 12 years old, and it was a piggy bank out of paper mache. And I looked very carefully at it, and I actually found on the bottom of it a piece of paper, that, like a little part of the newspaper that wasn't painted, and it actually said the date of the newspaper, and that piece was only done like 2 weeks prior to the opening. So they sort of gave me a piece that they actually made up, pretending it was something that they did when they were kids. But, you know, the funny thing is that those two artists have a reputation of you know, being quote unquote a bit vulgar and loud, and of course also being interested in money. So this idea of them representing themselves in a show like this with a piggy bank was quite funny, sort of like self-ironic, you know, good sense of humor, responding to my invitation and my idea, but in a sort of very particular way. Yeah, there's another shot there. In the back, there's an Golden piece. There's a piece by Ed Ruscha, Juan Munoz, Carol Walker. Is there another one, or that's it? Oh, that's it. Okay. So what was interesting was that the show was a huge success, and I think it was even more of a success because we kind of actually managed to bring in a lot of audience who wanted to see these artists work, but when they came out, they actually understood what we were trying to do, and, you know, saying, well, you know, you can make an intelligent show that still has mass appeal, that would still bring in a lot of a big crowd. And for me, it was really, you know, I think it's like 5 or 6 years ago, really a sort of moment when I realized that you know, what's actually possible for large-scale shows in major institutions to still be critical and still be, you know, a bit more complex than just having a big show of you know, well-known artists and basically stopping your investigation there.
Questions about that project? All right. So then, while I was in graduate school, I started collaborating with another graduate student whose name is John Rubin, and we started doing work originally in our neighborhood that we lived in. We kind of opened a gallery in a vacant storefront and did projects about our neighbors, people who lived around us and people who owned stores around us. And then we started doing other projects together in various places, but always working in this very site-specific way, where we would go to a place, find something about that place, and then represent it within a gallery context. One of the last project, we worked together for about 6 years, but one of the last projects that we did together was a commission for SF MoMA. They asked us to come up with some ideas for them, and the one that they selected was a project that we called Wallet Pictures. And what it was that we set up a camera stand in the museum's lobby. This was also sort of pre-digital. Well, there was digital, but not functional in the way it is now. And so we had a regular medium format camera that we set up. And then as visitors were coming to see the exhibitions and the artwork in the museum, we asked them if we could see the photographs that they kept in their wallets. And then we rephotographed those. And in about 6 hours, we got 150 photographs from these people who didn't know that we were going to ask them if we could see their images that they kept in their wallets. So the idea was to create this kind of reciprocal relationship between the audience of the museum and the work that was shown in it. So after we collected those images, we then selected 10 of them and blew those images up to about 30 by 40 inches and had them framed, and they went into the museum's permanent collection and have since been shown about 3 times at the museum. Because John and I were collaborating and we had these 150 images, many of which were really amazing, we had to sort of compromise on which ones we selected for the 10, and some of the ones that I really liked didn't get included. This is one of the ones that I really liked a lot that was in somebody's wallet. And partly what I like about this is the content of the photograph, the sort of exuberance on this little boy's face, the fact that he's naked and his butt's sort of sticking out there, the sort of completely bored look that the dog has, like he's been through it a million times, and then this odd detail that this is Mike Tyson down here in the newspaper. But then the other part of it that I like, and part of what we were interested in with Wallet Pictures, was that through physically carrying a photograph with you on your person, that you sort of slowly destroyed it. And so you can see this fold mark and the sort of discoloration that happened. And at the time we didn't know, but this